Good morning, everyone. It's Graham Vincent, violin maker and musician,
Hello, Thibaut Jaber.
and
Tom.
Swiss
Okay.
Tom.
Oh,
Yeah, fantastic. So it's the last day, and hopefully we're going to be going through a few bits and pieces, playing some stuff for you. We'll obviously sit down, have a really long chat about everything, talk about all sorts of stuff. So yeah, here we go. Not trying to annoy Thibaut here, but some behind the scenes footage of what goes on in a violin making workshop. Yeah, so definitely need to heat the workshop up. Oh, what's this? Don't think we'll use that one again. Anything else you want, Bernd?
there was this thing.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Tom, is that done? Pretty much done.
Pretty much done. It's quite a bow. It looks very scary. Maybe a bit too much, too tight. And what I see here, I don't like it too much.
Ah, of course, that's
Yeah,
so you might have to angle the frog
yeah.
down. Yeah.
Unless you have a very stiff stick that doesn't bend a lot.
That's good to see, yeah.
Yes.
So as I don't play here, I might just make a
Yeah,
Baroque
hold it
here.
like a viola da gamba
We'll see.
bow. Tension the hair.
Well, should we get the rosin on it and
Yeah.
give it a quick play?
Give it a quick play, sure.
Like this. Yeah. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of rosin. As you can see, I actually varnished the inside of the peg box red, or like painted the inside with red oil paint to actually use what he calls the make-up. To just get some darker colored oil paints into sort of the corners and the little irregular.
The lily.
The lily!
Yeah.
Yes!
So, shall I just introduce the instruments?
Yes,
Why
why
not?
not? Yeah.
So, newest instrument on the block is the bow, actually in Thibaut's right hand,
Yes.
which Tom has just finished, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
It
quite a
is.
revolution, really,
Yeah.
considering the material it's made of.
Yeah.
It's made of this bog oak, yeah,
Mm.
and this boxwood at the top, and the clip-in frog as well.
I
It's
think
a match, I think.
the boxwood and the bog oak were chosen mainly because I wanted them to marry in with an instrument I'm making over there, because I'm making a bow to go with that. So that was the primary reason for that. But actually, they've turned out much better than I'd expected, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
And this is like a very archaic, sort of almost the most basic form of a bow you can have. And it's amazing when you play it. It's actually so similar to a normal, I mean, it's so similar to any Baroque bow, and it's even not that far away from a modern bow, for me at least. Anyway,
I agree with you.
I'm sure for a professional player, the difference would be bigger than for me, but I mean, it's amazing.
Yes, it's clip-in frog, little turned sort of finial, ferrule end piece, whatever you want to call it, which is
Could call it a knock, like
A knock.
on bows, on like
okay, yeah,
arrow
yeah.
bows and arrows.
Yeah.
Call it the knock, which has
So-
pretty much the exact same function to hold
And
the
just,
bowstring.
just a straight stick, so the shape is imparted by the tension. Yeah. And then the second youngest instrument
Oh.
is in Thibaut's left hand.
Yes. Yeah. It is the cherry wood violin, which we are now finally hearing, or have been hearing. We have heard it since like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Is when we strung it up, and yeah, we've played it quite a bit so far. We attempted to take it to a session.
Well, we did take it to a session.
We
It's
did
just
take it to
it
a
wasn't the session
session.
we expected, was it?
Yeah.
It was last night we went to a pub in Hewish Episcopi where there's a good session, except not this week. It turns out, yeah. So we had our own session there. So it was quite fun.
Yes, it was nice. But yeah, I really like this violin so far.
Well, I think it's great. Done a grand job.
And it's amazing for me just to have built a violin out of cherry wood, something I would never have expected to use, especially with the front out of cherry wood. Like 6 weeks ago, I was like slightly hesitant.
Why am I doing this?
But then I thought, okay, I came here to learn new things and to see a new way of doing things. So I gave it a go, and yeah, I'm really amazed. I'm pretty sure that for me, at least in a blind test, I wouldn't be able to tell that this isn't spruce. So yeah, it's really interesting, and it will probably almost definitely influence how I'm going to build violins in the future. I could well see myself using unusual woods again.
Right.
So yeah.
Uh-oh. Sorry,
Uh-oh.
sorry, folks.
Yeah.
And then I mean, we'll speak about these sort of things a little bit more in depth in a bit. But then the next youngest instrument is the Hohner.
Well, yes, it's just a chromatical button accordion, not made by myself, but by Hohner, as you see. But it's quite an old one.
How old is it? 60s, 50s, something like that? 70s?
It's hard
maybe?
to say. Yeah, I'd say 60 years at least,
Yeah.
maybe more, maybe 80.
Still
Well,
sounding
I
great.
bought it already second hand, but it's the instrument I travel with.
I think we don't see that type very often in England, to be honest. We see there's a lot of piano accordions, and then
and
it's straight to diatonic.
like the diatonic button.
But
accordion,
actually
yeah.
button, sort of chromatic button
Mhm.
instruments, not very often at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite an amazing system on the right hand.
Yeah.
You can if you play with a singer or you have to transpose.
Yeah.
You can easily just move around.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But keeping the same
Same patterns.
patterns. Yeah.
Well, that's really useful
Mm.
because it looks incredibly complicated. To be honest, it just looks like a sea of buttons, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. Well, we have the black and white as in
Right.
the piano.
Yeah.
And that
That helps.
helps already.
But you don't. I
Oh.
haven't noticed you spending much time looking down.
Ah,
No.
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 With the time, you know where
Everything is.
you gotta go.
Yeah. And then the next youngest instrument is this one, which is 1705. But I'm going to do a video about this one at some stage. But this is the thing. This is the one I play a lot. So yeah. Should we do some more music?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
What should we try?
Right, change of instrument. Yeah, this is a fiddle that my dad bought in Paris in the 1960s, and it was made in 1903 in France. And it's no doubt a copy of the Messiah. Except it's not in quite as good condition. I should just sit down like an Englishman drinking tea. That's all right. Right. The Walzer aus dem Safiental.
Yes, exactly. That's perfect.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great.
Including a few little
Yeah, it's fantastic.
messing
That's
up.
great. Right. So well, this is the last day.
It is.
After
yeah.
6 weeks for Thibaut, after a couple of weeks for Tom. So yeah, it makes sense to kind of have a bit of a debrief really and
Yeah.
chat about
Mhm.
things.
Sure,
And yeah, I did ask if anyone had any questions on to leave them on the comments in the last video. I think we had a few comments, but only a couple of questions. In fact, there's only one question really that I think is worth asking really, because it covers everything and it's so yeah, this question from Michelle K5789. What techniques will you take away and use in your own making? Will you now experiment making instruments using non-traditional woods?
Oh, well, I
guess
assume,
that's for you, I think.
assume that's directed at me. So yeah, I think definitely yes, I will. I mean, I always sort of had plans, like from very early on, to try and experiment with loads of different types of wood, and now I've done it for the first time, and I'm really happy with the results of this cherry wood violin. So yes, I am definitely going to carry on experimenting with non-traditional woods. Yeah.
And I mean, for me, I've said it many times, and basically, if you like the look of a piece of wood, the key thing is as long as you think it's going to be structurally okay, you know, and it's worth making something from it. The key thing is to hold it up and tap it, and if it goes thud, do not use it. If it goes boing, then it's going to be okay, basically, because anything that just absorbs all the energy will absorb all the energy in a musical instrument, and something which just wants to ring out just is in my experience so far, having used quite a few different types of wood, just seems to work basically. So there we go. And can I answer the question about techniques? I mean, when you came here, I mean, I said it was going to be a two-way street, most definitely. And I've been keeping a very careful eye about what's been going on on this bench on the end here. And yeah, there's quite a few things which I will do differently. It's I think it's reminded me of an approach that I've kind of got out the habit of using a little bit. So I think it probably will. It's picked me up a little bit in terms of being a bit more careful about some things. But that's been quite interesting. But also it's what I found really interesting is, you know, you've made a violin using materials I would use, using a pattern I would use, using my tools, and using my finishing technique, and yet it is quite clearly, I mean, it looks superficially, you know, like it comes from the same idea, but it's so patently obviously made by somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
And that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a great violin, it sounds great, but I think the takeaway from that for me is don't worry about not being like everybody else.
Yes.
So at one stage I was thinking, shit, this is so good, what am I going to do? But then I kind of thought, no, actually, I'm quite happy for yours to be very you and to be great and mine to be very me. You know, it's fine. That's been really interesting for me.
I mean, for me, it has been the same. I use completely different tools and completely different woods. I'm in a completely different workshop to what I'm used to.
For 6 weeks, he's been stuck in a cold workshop in Somerset in England, and it is quite surprising how cold it can be in England. Yeah. Tom will absolutely,
And still, this actually looks quite a bit like one of my violins. So yeah, exactly like you said, I learned that you can't really hide who you are.
Exactly.
As soon as you start making a violin, it becomes very apparent.
And you know, that's one for me. That's one of the joys about violin making, about instrument making, about bow making, whatever it is. It's, I mean, the worst thing for me would be going to one of those competitions in Italy and having, you know, 40 violins on a bench and them all looking identical, and yes, being judged as being perfect because they all look the same. Well, that's exactly what I don't personally want to do, you know? So this is, I'd never win any competitions for sure, but it's interesting. Yeah, apart from that, I personally, I've learned a few things about, I've never considered using acetone as a solvent for rosin, for sealing things and so on. That's a rather neat, smart and very fast thing to do, which I will probably sort of adopt. Loads of bits and pieces actually. So, I mean, it's more than 1/10 of a year, so it probably seems like quite a long time. but it's not been time wasted for me. I've really enjoyed it actually, so it's been good. And then obviously Tom, you've not been here as long, so you haven't really had a chance to do as much effectively.
Yeah, I'm grateful I could come. That you
Pleasure,
opened
absolute
your
pleasure.
door
Well,
to this workshop, and basically I'm also very interested in using different kinds of wood. I would never had the courage before to make a violin top out of hardwood. So I'm really surprised how this instrument sounds now. I'm gonna try it by myself.
it will be. I wish I could be a fly on the wall when you take it out of the case in Brienne.
That will be an interesting one to see the reaction of the hardcore classicists having a look at
You should
a
record
cherry
that
wood
actually.
violin.
Will you, get your camera out for that, won't you?
You should do
Or
that.
just the audio somewhere hidden in the pocket.
Hidden microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Secret recording, definitely.
Yeah, and share it with at least the two of us.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it, really, isn't it? Yeah. Anything else? You've got a whole one. He's written the script here.
It's not really what we do here. We don't usually work from notes, but I still made made quite a lot of notes. So I made a list of things, of a list called What I Learned.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes,
That's the shorter part of it, by the look of it.
So I don't know how long should I.
No,
I
you-
could
You just
go
for it.
for,
Go for it.
for
Go for it.
hours.
You carry on.
and,
I can always
tell
edit
you
all of
stuff.
this out if necessary.
So yeah, obviously, like this whole thing has been like sort of part of my apprenticeship at Brienne. So they sort of want us to go out during our 4-year training course. They want us to go out into the world for 6 weeks in any kind of violin making workshop, which we can choose on our own, to sort of experience new things and to basically see how a violin workshop works in real life. And I actually decided to come over here, which is probably, or at least probably my teachers would consider this quite a gamble to come out here. And it might have been a bit, obviously, also to come here in like a tiny small village where I like gonna live with the same 30 people or less, the same 5 people all the time. But it has been absolutely great, and I think it paid off just so much to have come over here. And I think the most important thing I learned is like to have seen a workshop here, which is just so completely different to Brienne's. In Brienne's, like the school is one of the best schools you can get in terms of just how it's equipped and how it's all set up. I mean, it's complete luxury over there, and you've got every tool you could possibly wish for, and all the best machines that are set up great, and yeah, you can just build and build without thinking about anything. But it's not really real life, and it's not realistic to wish for something like this once you sort of finished your apprenticeship.
This really is the other end of the spectrum in terms of tools and so on, I'm afraid. Yeah.
And yeah, I've seen that this is possible as well. I sort of knew that, or sort of expected it to be possible, but to see in real life how this works and how easy it actually can be if you want to make it work, to just set up your own workshop and start your own business. And yeah. And of course, I also learned about the power of the internet, which we've been talking about a lot, and which is obviously also a very useful tool to sort of set up a workshop, a business like this here. It obviously makes it a lot easier to have the internet, if not sort of, it might even be the thing that makes it possible.
Can I just say one thing there? Don't have the internet in the workshop.
Yes, yeah.
Because I used to have internet connection here in the workshop, and the temptation to stop and check stuff all the time is
of course.
so we this is being recorded, and then I'll nip into the office and hook it up to the world. Yeah,
it's good to have this separation, I think. And yeah, just seeing like the whole way you just set up your business and your workshop has been really inspiring for me, and has given me like loads of ideas and motivation to like to start my own business at some point. What else did I learn? Yeah, obviously we talked about the non-traditional wood choice. This has been great. Also a lot of I've seen a lot of reclaimed wood here. I think you've built one violin completely out of reclaimed wood while I was here, and
yes.
one violin front, or several violin fronts.
That's that one over there is that's a reclaimed front. But yes, you're right. The Spanish cedar one was completely reclaimed, and then the Patreon raffle one was a reclaimed front.
So that was also like a quite like an aha moment to see that actually like old reclaimed furniture can be like a great source of really nice looking timber and great sounding timbers. That has been amazing. Yeah. Oh, one thing which is really interesting. This is maybe goes too far. It's maybe one thing you can snip out.
Okay.
But
Right.
I've noticed that you do use hand tools a lot in here, not exclusively, and sort of you sort of obviously you switch between using machines and using hand tools for the same sort of step. Like you're not always going to use the same technique for the same step. But just using, seeing you use a lot of hand tools has sort of given me a new sort of motivation for using hand tools. And yeah, I've noticed that actually hand tools don't necessarily need to be slower than machines. Sort of, I obviously knew that you build a lot of violins per year and you build them very fast compared to us in Brienz. And I thought, yeah, maybe that's because you use a lot of machines and stuff. But actually, no, it's sort of, even if you use a lot of hand tools, you can still be very fast. So.
And you know, as time goes by, I'm using hand tools more and more rather than less.
Yeah.
I mean, because I had done some furniture making in the past, when I started making violins, I was using machine tools all the time, really, for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've seen me using things like I on one of the violins I was working on, I've cut the purfling slot using machine, and on another one I've done it by hand. So yeah, I mean, I do mix between the two, but I'm progressively moving more and more to doing stuff by hand. And I think Thibaut was slightly shocked that when I snapped the bandsaw blade, I kind of thought, oh, sorry, and I haven't bothered to buy another one. So for about half of the 6 weeks, we've not had a bandsaw, have we? So, but so no great loss, really. That's good. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Actually. And I think I have to say, I think it's more fun doing stuff by hand.
Yeah.
There's less dust.
Yeah.
It's just nicer. You don't tend to cut your fingers off.
Yeah.
Which, as a musician, that's
That's
something
also
you want to be careful of, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can we just say thank you to Sarah as well for?
Yes. Yeah. That was.
It's on the list, I suspect. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I was just super lucky to actually find accommodation in the house of one of Graham's neighbors, who was actually, she was looking for somebody to house sit and dog sit while she was away for a few weeks. So I basically got a whole house for myself for sometimes at the cost of about 35 dog walks or so. So I think, I was very lucky with this one.
I think it was a very good deal. Yes.
Yeah, I'm grateful as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise it's been a really nice time.
Thank you. It's been absolutely wonderful having you both here. Honestly, it's been great. Really enjoyed it. I've learnt a lot, and it's been good.
Yeah, good fun. Yeah.
Cool.
Two of you.
Cool. Should we leave it there?
Last time? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Why not?
Thank you very much, both of
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cheers, folks. Look after yourselves.
Bye.
Thibaut, did you forget to mention something?
Yes, the most important thing which I learned, I mean, if that would have been the only thing which I learned in the 6 weeks, it would already have been worth coming to England for. Of course, my favorite multi-angled vice, which I am gonna copy as soon as I get back to Brienz.